This is the Art Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the Amazon best-selling book, Make More Money Selling Your Art. In the Marketing Minute, we answer your questions to help your art career. Brought to you by artmarketing.com, the place to go to learn more about marketing. Now, here's your host, Art Magazine publisher, Eric Rhoads.
Thank you, Jim Kipping, and thank you for joining us today. I am here. My goal is to eliminate the idea of the starving artist. So let's get right to today's questions. This is a question from Grant Hankala of Little Rock, Arkansas, who says, I've heard you talk about strategy versus tactic. Can you speak to that in regards of selling my art? Is it better to have a strategy or a tactic if I'm a beginner? Well, Grant, it's both. Everybody needs both. You see, let me see if I can explain this for you. A strategy is how you present yourself and what your meaning is. Now, let me use a different brand, something that's non-art. Walmart. What is Walmart's strategy? Walmart's strategy is, behind the scenes, their strategy is probably selling a lot of volume, meaning selling tons and tons of stuff, because their strategy says they are always the lowest prices, always, right? So we know that the Walmart strategy is lowest prices. The tactic is something you do to reinforce what your strategy is, like advertising. So you need to know how you're going to present yourself. What is the meaning of Grant Hankala as an artist, right? So it might be, let's think about some painters that we know. Joseph McGurl is one of, does some of the most incredible landscape paintings on earth, or John Stobart is known as a historic sailboat painter, or Chris Blossom is known as a sailboat painter. That's kind of what you want to be known as. Now, you could be known as a portrait painter, or you could be known as a mural painter, or something else, and you might even have something you attach to it. Like I'm known as a expensive portrait painter, like Nelson Shanks, rest in peace. You knew that if you went to Nelson Shanks, you're going to pay $80 or $100 or $150,000 for a portrait. So that's part of your strategy. And now how you make your strategy happen is you need tactics, and the tactics are things like promotions and advertising and newsletters, email blasts. Those are tactics. So we all need both. Tactics without strategy is not sending a consistent message. But when you have those tactics employed, then you need to always reinforce the strategy. So every time you see a Walmart ad, what do they say? Lowest prices. Always, always lowest prices. Always, right? Every ad they do, that reinforces that tactic. And so what you really have to do, you have to kind of, especially when you're first starting yourself out, you kind of want to get branded as something. If you don't get branded as something, then it's going to confuse the audience. I have a lot of painters who say, well, I do portraits, I do this, I do that. That's okay. But the problem is you're going to confuse people. So kind of get known for something. Howard Turpinning is known for doing paintings of Native Americans and cowboys. But if he started doing flower paintings early on in his career, he'd be confusing people. So he's known for that. Now he can do anything he wants now because he's big, and you can do anything you want when you're big. But in the beginning, you want to get known for something. So we need those tactics and we need the strategy. You need to decide who you are, what you stand for, what your brand stands for. Now, the next question comes from Ray Adams in Chicago, Illinois. Ray says, I just got into my first gallery, and I wonder if it's okay to approach more galleries or if it's better to stay loyal to just one. Well, I have a lot of answers to that, Ray, and let me start out by saying I think that, first off, your gallery relationship is really critical, and the goal of a good gallery relationship is for it to be one that is symbiotic. In other words, you and the gallery person need to be strategizing about your career. I just gave advice to a gallery, to a person today. He's in a very big, very well-known gallery, and he's only in that one gallery, and his entire income is based on that one gallery. And I said to him, what happens if that gallery goes out of business? And he said, well, they're big. They're not going to go out of business. I said, well, I've seen big galleries go out of business. So what happens? Well, I would have to get another gallery. And then well, it takes time to build up your career. It takes time to get you known to their collectors. So I said, what I would do is I'd call your gallery and say, listen, I don't want all my eggs in one basket. I want to work with you. And I'd like to get into ideally about 3 galleries. That way I've got some balance in case somebody goes under, and I've got some, I get spread out regionally and so on. So call them up and have a discussion and say, listen, I don't want to compete with you, but I also want to be in some good galleries. Can you recommend somebody that you feel is of the quality that is equal to your gallery? And then let's work on that together. And then, of course, they can make introductions and help you get in, which saves you a lot of time and trouble. But I think, I like to have the idea of having things spread out among 3 galleries minimum. And, you might not be able to give them all a whole lot of work, and they may or may not like that. But ultimately, you've got to think about your career, and you got to think about what's best for you. Because if somebody goes away suddenly, and we've watched that happen in bad economies where I had an artist friend, he was in 5 galleries, 3 of them went bankrupt. And so what was he to do? He had to get more galleries just in case the other 2 went under because they weren't selling much. So I think just the general thing, Ray, is you want to keep the quality. You want to be in the highest quality gallery you can be in. And a lot of that has to do with your reputation, your strategy. It also has to do with how good you are. And sometimes we start out in a weaker gallery and move up to a stronger gallery. Certainly has been the case for me. So I think that it's good. It's not about being loyal. It's about being loyal to yourself. And if you're upfront about it and you say, listen, Charlie at Charlie's gallery, how many paintings a year are you expecting to sell from me, and how many do you need? And Charlie says, okay, the number is 12 or 15 or 20, whatever the number is. You say, okay, I'm going to focus on giving you 12 really good paintings this year, or 20 or whatever, but I need to be able to also get some paintings in Gallery B and Gallery C. And, maybe I'll only give them 5 each or 6 each, but at least they're establishing themselves for you, getting you some collectors, and then you've got a backup plan in the event something goes wrong. That's my opinion on galleries. Well, this has been the Art Marketing Minute with me, Eric Rhoads. My goal in life is to eliminate the idea of the starving artist and to help your dreams actually come true. So if you want to submit questions, simply email eric@artmarketing.com. And to learn more about marketing ideas, you can visit artmarketing.com. Thanks for listening.